Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on a beautiful day in the middle of December. 40 degrees, sunshine, birds singing, and good comics to read.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive. So every week, we each pick our own title that we really enjoyed, and then we have a consensus pick that we both enjoyed, and then we talk about why we liked them. So if you're new to the show, prepare yourself for all of that, because here it comes with Fritz's pick.
Yeah, so my pick this week is Absolute Flash issue 10. We're kind of, this recent little arc that we've been doing is Wally's teamed up with the Rogues, because they're all just like, hey man, no one actually likes, like, Thawne, like, we should probably, like, go and, like, deal with her and, like, have it so we're not being, like, hunted by the government anymore.
Yeah.
And turns out that's easier said than done, especially when maybe some of the Rogues aren't entirely trustworthy. Who would have thought a group of people called the Rogues, there might not be some people on the up and up there.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so the issue is kind of split between, like, Wally and Grodd getting into Fort Fox to, like, try and, like, find his dad and save him. The Rogues are having to deal with Trickster betraying them, and maybe some other character showing up, maybe some good, maybe some bad. And so that's kind of like a whole big fight, them kind of like airing a lot of their issues with each other out there. And then Wally, once he's in Fort Fox, he's dealing with, he and us really still don't entirely understand like how his powers work compared to like how the Flash does in the normal universe. Like it's not exactly like, oh, he's just like super fast. Like there's definitely some kind of like time-space distortion.
Yes.
And part of that has been then that he's also been seeing like these echoes of either like past events or like future events, and he's seeing a lot of those in here, some of which maybe portend bad things happening. Which who could have predicted that? Maybe maybe dealing with powers that we don't understand might have some consequences.
Right.
Yeah, and it's kind of him just kind of like, we're getting these like little bits and pieces of just like things from like the past and future of like hinting at like what's about to happen. We get this confrontation. We get the reveal / return of a character that we kind of like met / hinted at in previous issues, that upon meeting them now it's just like, oh, something really bad happened. Turns out that whatever they've been experimenting with, like even more than we previously thought, like something really weird is happening. There's some weird interdimensional stuff, and by the end of the issue, it feels like maybe next issue we're actually going to like learn how all this works, or at least like some version of it.
Right.
And it's just each page of this is kind of just ratcheting up just this tension of just like something bad's going to happen, something real bad's going to happen, and then it does, and it's just like, well, what do we do now? Yeah. And no, it's a lot of fun. Like I continue to like Wally and Grodd's whole relationship. There's this bit where like Grodd projects into Wally's mind that like, yeah, your dad's in there, but my dad's also in there, and I want to get him out too. Which is like, I love that they're both kind of like bonding over being these like experiments and like trying to like not be defined by that. And the Rogues interacting with each other, because like it's similar to like the normal Rogues of like, oh, these like kind of like somewhat amoral people like kind of coming together because they're like the only ones that they have. But still very different in terms of like, oh, they're this like black ops group that's done maybe some not good stuff, but like some of them want to like be better, some of them just want to like not deal with like the military anymore, some of them are just maybe not great people regardless.
Turns out.
Yeah. But like it's interesting like how their like camaraderie comes through still, and this is all very beautifully drawn by Nick Rubles. His art here, especially in terms of like how he conveys like the weird like dimensional shift stuff, has been like super cool. Just like how like people like will appear not fully formed, like it's like chunks are missing from them is super cool. Yeah. No, I've been really enjoying this. The fact that we're like starting to like really kind of unravel like what's going on here. This cover might reveal more than you think in terms of like what we're having to deal with, but
well, and the world's about to get a bigger place for all of these characters, so it's going to be really interesting to see now that we're getting, like a kind of peek under the hood of how this is all working. Now, how's that going to jive with, the other supers or heroes? I guess heroes is probably
well, and
more
it's
accurate.
interesting because, like, I'm curious, if he'll like connect to any of the others, because like we've seen in some of the other books like Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter that there are like some like underlying like fundamental forces in this universe that maybe they have some relation to each other. Like how does maybe whatever this weird dimension is connect to like this universe's version of like the light spectrum that the lanterns use,
right?
Versus like whatever weird mindscape that like the Martian is able to go into that we've seen in the Manhunter book. Yeah. There's, and it's something that's been kind of talked about in some of the books that there's underlying like everything like from the like bottom up in terms of like the people and the powers, everything's just like weird and off and not good, and like how each different book is kind of like building on aspects of that. Has been very different and very interesting.
Well, and you know, I have to think that part of that goes back to Darkseid, right?
Yeah.
And so it has to have something to do with that. But it'll be interesting to see, like, did Darkseid just use all of this as kind of a launch pad and is not going to really care about it anymore? Or how's that all? And how's DCKO going to shake out with this?
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how it all. Plays out, I guess. Comes together maybe isn't quite right. But how it all plays out.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of planets where everything is kind of messed up and people with big swords are swinging at each other.
So I went with Planet She-Hulk number 2. So She-Hulk has been one of my favorite characters to read in modern Marvel now for a few years. She's had some really good books. Actually, going back to that She-Hulk, where she had the gray raging She-Hulk.
Tamaki run?
Tamaki run, where she's living in that apartment with something in the closet or whatever. You know how that all played out. I've really enjoyed the run since then. The Rainbow Rowell run that preceded, well, 2 of them, I guess, that preceded this was really good. And now Jennifer is stuck on an alien planet. She is trying to keep things under wraps for 5 days. Turns out it's been closer to 3 weeks at this point, until Bruce can get back and kind of put things back in order. So, of course, being on a planet where might makes right, people are scheming and, making power plays. So we now have a couple different parties who are vying for the throne. And Jennifer's trying to figure out, like, how much do I get involved? Where do I get involved? Why do I even care? Like, do I try to impose my ideas of justice and societal rule here when it seems, counter to everything these people believe? But at the same time, can I just, watch people die in this power play? So there's kind of a fun little throwback. She is having a conversation with another character that kind of reminded me of, it was Punch Club, right? Is that?
I think that's what they called it,
where it's like, sometimes you just need to get the blood pumping to really get thinking about things and take your mind off of it for a little bit and just hit some stuff. And so it was really fun. I'm really, first of all, the art on this, Aaron Cooter is just doing a fantastic job. It's, I think we talked about this with the first issue. It's a really great cross between Sword and Sandals and sci-fi, so you've got this kind of John Carter kind of vibe going on. It's
really shocking that despite him having worked at Marvel pretty regularly for the last several years, that they just never threw him on a Star Wars book. Because, like, the man's tailor-made for it. I mean, and this isn't his first foray into space stuff. He's done... he did the Guardians run with Gary Dugan. I think he's done some other space stuff for them. And he just nails that whole aesthetic super well here. Yeah, and it just makes it fun. Like, it's just fun to read. It's really interesting you even spend time, like, looking in the characters in the background, just kind of admiring, like, not only are these characters interesting, but the way that he's got different people posed and standing in a group or whatever, it's just kind of got a natural kind of feel. It feels less statuesque or what have you when people are standing around. Everything feels so very organic.
Yeah. And, these kind of washed out color palette kind of vibe that's going on gives it kind of an otherworldly kind of vibe and whatever. So, yeah, this is just, it's been a lot of fun. The intrigue, I think is, it's there. I think it's relatively light on purpose. We'll see. Maybe there'll be some massive, underlying plot. There is obviously underlying plots and people betraying people.
Yeah, there's definitely some machinations going on that I don't think are like fully clear yet, but
Right.
I think there's definitely one or two characters I'm like, I don't think you're actually as trustworthy as you seem.
But it doesn't seem like it's really the point of the book per se. There's a bit of an Agatha Christie kind of, who's behind what kind of vibe. But I think it's more kind of about Jennifer than it is about what's going on. Her kind of finding her way here. Because obviously people are betraying each other.
Yeah.
And they've got, backroom handshake deals and whatever. And so, there seem to be some altruistic kind of parties, and we'll see if that really holds true. I'm not entirely convinced at this point, but we'll see.
Again, some of them I think are on the up and up. Some of them like, maybe not.
Yeah. Okay, well, this one spun out of the Imperial War mini, and so did our consensus pick.
Yeah, we've got Black Panther Intergalactic, QBC boys. So this issue, basically, long story short, so like we had the like Intergalactic Wakandan Empire introduced a couple years back on Ta-Nehisi Coates' run, and not a whole lot has like been done with it, like some stuff here and there with like some of the Guardians books and that.
Yeah.
But after the events of Imperial, like T'Challa's like he's kind of like back in it. He's like, all this stuff's happened. I've kind of like got to take charge again.
Yeah, it's foisted upon him, so to speak.
But before he can really seem to get to any of that, he seems to have we're dropped in kind of like he is, like to this like strange world where he's not really sure how he got there or like where it is or what it is even. Because everything about it just seems like just off enough. Like there's like, he'll have like little run-ins with things and be like, that's weird. Like, or like he'll run into something like, I don't know how this is here. This shouldn't be here.
Yep.
And
I like his kind of inner monologue on how he's analyzing all this.
And
I'm taking 10 steps backwards because I'm not an idiot.
That's one of the things I really liked about this, and something I liked in the previous run on the character is that really kind of like, well, he can still be very like stoic and like kingly in the way you kind of expect in a lot of Black Panther books. Like this is also like a Panther who knows how good he is and like kind of has fun with it to a certain extent. We talked about this a bit with the one shot that they did for Imperial, where like, this is like the way that Lavelle writes T'Challa here is like very much like he's done all this kind of crazy stuff before. He's been around the block. He like has this like very well earned confidence in himself, and like he exudes that in just like the way he like approaches everything and talks about everything, even if it's to himself.
Yeah, and yet at the same time, he also, at points in this book, admits kind of his limitations. And questions whether or not he should allow himself to feel the stress of his position because it's, an honor to serve his people, and that he shouldn't, have negative thoughts towards it. But, so there is kind of a human element too. But they're both human elements, I think. It's not just that, because again, there's so many books with him where it's either like his own book or him appearing in some other book where he's just T'Challa the king. Whereas this book is very much like he's T'Challa the man also. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And so while that's all going on, we've also got like back in the Wakandan Empire, we've got dealing with kind of the fallout of the Imperial War. We've got part of the whole thing was like before T'Challa came back in charge, M'Baku was kind of running things, but he got attacked by Skrulls, so he's injured and also just kind of understandably shaken up about like, oh hey, I don't feel like I can trust anything around me because
Skrulls.
Yeah, that kind of comes with the territory there.
Yeah.
So like he's dealing with that. Sure, he's like, hey man, you need to like get it together. I've got to find my brother. There's this kid who maybe like knows what's happening just because he was involved with like the location that he was last seen at. And so we kind of get to learn more about the backstory of this kid and his father, like how they factored in to like the previous like ruler in Jaka, how maybe some like not great stuff was being like done, and how that might have consequences for them now. It's not like super like clear yet how exactly everything's connecting. Just all we know is that like there was something that was invented that's maybe going to be a very big problem for all of them.
Yeah, and the way that they describe it, it's very much a mysterious, I don't know, artifact. It's going to be interesting to see what this thing actually is, and how is it connected to where T'Challa is right now, because certainly it is, and what he's encountering out there. And we kind of also were talking about how there's couple things that he encounters where it's like, well, that person would have to have a certain
knowledge of certain
knowledge.
Yeah, like there's some like, again, without getting too into it, there's some like deeper cuts here that's just like, okay, like something like, because the whole situation is weird, but then that's just like, okay, so it's even weirder than we think.
Right.
Yeah.
So then who is involved in all of this? Or where did that knowledge come from? It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm also interested in what else you enjoyed this week, Fritz. These are our top picks. What was close for you?
One other thing I want to say before, just because I want to give a shout out. I know I've seen their work on other stuff, I'm blanking on now, but the artist, Stefano Nasi, really, really enjoy their work here. Very good on the action sequences. Really good in the like kind of quieter moments where it's just people talking and being angry at each other.
Yeah, I like the creature arc a lot.
Oh yeah, just all around, very different from Cooter, but also like still like very much capturing this like more kind of like sci-fi vibe. Yeah. But no, other stuff that was good this week. Let me think here. The new Starship Godzilla was super fun. If you're a fan of the Zillions, you'll definitely enjoy this issue. We get a lot with them. I'm curious how many Godzilla movies you've seen now that I say that.
Not enough, apparently.
That was good. What else? There was a lot this week. Nightwing was super good. We're kind of getting near the end of that arc. Super excited to see what happens when Nightwing has to fight a fifth-dimensional being. Not exactly something he's normally equipped for.
Right, yeah.
We both really enjoyed the new issue of Joe, especially the stuff with Hawk. Like that, like whole sequence is probably easily one of my favorite bits in like all of this whole run of G.I. Joe so far.
Yeah, it has been pedal to the metal for the last couple of issues now, and this one is just all action. It does not slow down at all.
This one I'd say maybe a little more like bullets to the metal.
Yeah.
You'll know when we get there.
Yes,
but
that was fantastic. Yeah, a bunch of good stuff.
What other stuff did you like?
Yeah, I'm still really enjoying Catwoman. I like it when Selena is, trying to figure. She's in over her head just slightly. She knows it. She knows that maybe she shouldn't be doing what she's doing because it puts her in danger, but she kind of does it anyway. I don't know. That feels kind of like a cat-like kind of characteristic. But, when she's doing kind of investigating and infiltrating and, taking on other personas to do that and whatever, it's always fun. But the plot thickened quickly at the end of this one, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Zatanna versus Harley, or was it DCKO? Or was it Harley versus whatever? Harley and Zatanna Throwdown and DCKO. That was fun. Mirka Andolfo on the art is always entertaining, and those were two fun characters to see her, sink her teeth into, and it's crazy and over the top because they're in a reality bending fight tournament, so stuff gets crazy.
It can get weird.
Fun. Yeah, it was a good week this week. There's a bunch of stuff that came out. I'm kind of interested in flipping through. I already kind of give it a quick once over, but the Sensation Comics facsimile this week. It's kind of a Wonder Woman winter special from back in the day. So those are always kind of fun to look back, and I really like the way that DC does those. It's
they do such a good job.
Yeah, it's charming, with the classic newsprint style paper and whatever. So, all right, well, it was a great week. We'd like to hear from you, so be sure to comment, follow, like, subscribe, share, and stop into your local comic shop and pick up some books for yourself and chit-chat with the people that are there. It's a fun community to be a part of. As part of that, I'll let you know that on Tuesday nights we have both a magic club that is meeting and a comic club that meets. So Tuesday nights are full of activity down here at the store. Last night it was bustling, but we've got spaces for each group so they can do their thing. And if you're interested in talking about comics or pop culture in general, Comic Club usually starts around 4 o'clock. They usually hang out till about 6:30 or 7. And it's just kind of a fun, open to anyone who's interested in talking about, comics and movies and TV shows and, comic adjacent stuff like that. So welcome you to that. We'll be back next week with more Pulp Picks. Until then, enjoy the reading.
Reveal no, I'm not even gonna. First off, it's a reference I don't think you know, and two, I don't want that on recording.